Well, my endeavor is to bring you from this attitude to this. Most of us know that there are two types of students. One who are good with maths and physics, others who are not. So basically, the ones good with maths and physics have a lot of confidence and they proudly say that I'm good with these subjects. Some say I'm a maths or a physics person, while others say I'm not at all a maths or a physics person. Till today, you thought that there are two such categories existing, but the good news is that these categories are only in your mind. There are no such categories existing. Well, I can't blame my young learners for this approach. To some extent, our education system, which includes the type of curriculum, the theoretical approach to both these subjects, and the learning design that we adhere to, also equally responsible for making these subjects and the approach quite dry. But thanks to the renovation which are coming up in the existing system, with so much of transformation happening in education system, the approaches to both these subjects have really changed. So we now have two categories of learners with us, those who are comfortable and those who are not so comfortable. But yes, it is a very positive approach, as not so comfortable state can be very well converted into a comfortable state. And this positive approach, in my words, is the right kind of approach that you would need to excel in these two subjects. What do I mean by saying positive approach? There are some students who feel that it's okay that they got it wrong, but they will try again and this time they will get it right. There are others who feel that I've tried enough. Maybe I'm not a maths or a physics person. The first approach is a positive approach. The other one is a negative approach. What you need for physics and maths is a positive approach. Have an open mindset for these subjects. Being positive for maths and physics really can give you better results. Remember, failing is not scoring less marks, but not trying at all is actual failing. Well, these subjects cannot be learned by just counseling or by hearing somebody's lecture. Neither by mugging up the already done numerical or any problems in maths and physics. But they can only be learned by proper practicing and giving more time towards its familiarity, the familiarity of the content. Remember, the hatred or dislike towards any subject, for that matter, whether be it maths or physics, is just the lack of familiarity and even more ignorance and lack of support. The second approach is to think and talk the subject. When I say think, this is not exactly what I'm talking about, but practicing. Remember, our thinking mode should be on whenever we work towards these subjects. Most of the successful students that we have seen in maths and physics, they end up thinking more about the subject, talking more about the subject. We must think and discuss the problems in our leisure time with our family, when we are actually having a walk, because that is the time when our mind is free out of any kind of stress and we'll be able to look at the problem with a different dimension. I encourage you to discuss the problems with your friends. It's all about the thought process and not the actual solution. Once you collaborate with your friends and go through this thought process, remember, your reasoning power increases manifold and you're able to approach any numerical, any problem in a much better way. You may not still get the solution of the problem, but you will understand the situation. And once you understand the situation, your capability of approaching the problem again will increase. Collaborating with friends, thinking and talking the subject with your friends, discussing various situations that is given in the problems and that was taught to you in the class actually complements your studies. When your thinking mode is on, your neural networks are getting more and more stronger. And the more stronger the neural network, your capability to solve various numericals and understand various concepts in these two subjects enhances. It's not about the right or the wrong answer. It's all about the thought process that you go through while understanding the question. The deeper the thinking, the better the ability to solve the toughest problem in the two subjects. That's why it's important to think, talk, and visualize the situation when it comes to these two subjects. Let me tell you by taking an example. Let's say your thinking mode is on and you have this problem presented before you. Now, most of you will approach the problem only by one way. You'll all start recalling the various steps and most importantly, the formula that your teacher must have used during the class while discussing and solving this problem. But in this way, you're not thinking and talking the subject. You're only memorizing the formula which is to be used in order to get the right answer. So here the aim is getting down to the right solution. Whereas I would encourage all of you to paint a picture in your mind about the given situation in the problem. So once we paint this picture in our mind, the entire situation is very clear to us. Now if we approach this numerical, not only will we actually approach the right solution, but we are going to understand further problems that we are going to face in future. So it's important to picture every situation in maths or physics. In other words, we can say visualization of the problem is very important. Now let's take another example and understand how to picture the problem. Most of the students find fractions very difficult to understand. Let's consider fractions. The problem presented before you is which of these fraction is the greatest, 4 by 5 or 7 by 10. Now, normally what we would do is get both these unlike fractions into like fractions and then compare them. So the answer is 40 upon 50, which is 4 upon 5 is a greater fraction. But can we really think of any other alternative? How can we understand these two fractions with the help of some diagram or a picture? Now I have considered a box here. I have divided the box into 10 equal portions like this. Let's consider another box, and this box is to be divided into 5 equal portions like this. The first fraction is 7 upon 10, which means that 7 portions out of 10 has to be shaded. So let's shade 7 portions out of 10. In the second one, we have to shade 4 portions out of 5. Both the red boxes that we initially considered are of the same length and breadth. So after shading the respective portions, without even calculating, we have presented the same problem in the form of a picture. Now, we have the two fractions in front of us. The first one is 7 upon 10 and the second one is 4 upon 5. So which one of the shaded portion do you think is greater? Obviously, 4 upon 5 is greater than 7 upon 10. Instead of calculating the entire problem, getting the unlike fractions into like fractions and doing all those lengthy calculations, it was much easier for us to understand and calculate which one of the two fractions is the greatest. So what's important is to picture the problem and then understand it. Now let's take another example, and this is for class 3 and 4 students. Now most of the students actually approach this problem in a very wrong way. They try and remember if it's division or multiplication. So it's important to visualize this picture in our mind. We can visualize or we can draw a box in which 12 apples can be accommodated. Now how many would we need to accommodate 144 apples? So in total we would need 12 boxes to accommodate 144 apples. So what we have done is we have visualized the same situation. Another way is to simplify the problem. Now when we are given 12 apples and we are asked to accommodate 144 apples in total, then this situation and the numbers which are given in the numericals is quite large, which is difficult for small children to calculate. So what we can do is we can simplify the problem. So this approach, the parents can actually help the children to first present the problem in a very simplified way and then ask the children to think about the problem. The students will have to actually again picturize the same situation. They would come down to saying 5 boxes. Now all that they have to do is just make out the relationship between 5 boxes and 10 apples. They will know that if they divide 10 by 2, they would get 5. So now they understand the relationship. By simplifying the situation, it's easy for them to apply the same rule in a much complicated problem. It's important for all of us, for parents, children and teachers, to present the problem first in a very simplified way and then approach the complicated problems. It's important to approach a numerical or a problem in many different ways. It's important to explore others. Now, there are many different ways to solve a problem and not just one. And all the examples that we have discussed previously are the examples of approaching any numerical, any problem in more than just one way, which will actually help you to make your understanding easy towards a subject. Now this is something which really works like a magic. Most of the professionals use this technique. Now, in fact, I have personally used this all through my life while studying, during my trainings, while I was flying. And believe me, it works like magic. I call it my transparent corner. Now, what exactly is this transparent corner? What you can do is, right in front of your study table, somewhere on the wall, you can actually stick a graph sheet or a chart paper and then cover that chart paper with a transparent sheet, which you can use it as a transparent board to write all your important formulas, something that you find it always difficult to remember, some multiplication tables for the young children, anything that you find it difficult. Remember, the more often you look at something which is right in front of your eyes, the more familiarity you will have with the content, and it gets easier to understand and learn in better. With this, you can use some stick notes, which again is a very effective technique to remember and remind you of certain concepts which you generally find it difficult. Even in other subjects, I must tell you that sometimes you have some important dates to be remembered, like in social studies you have so many dates and the names to be remembered. You can actually make use of this transparent corner. So create your own transparent learning corners, make it colorful, make it your effective learning zone. So now we have come to an end of our today's tutorial. Let's just quickly go over it. The hatred and dislike towards any subject is just a matter of lack of familiarity and probably lack of ignorance and proper guidance and proper support. So please have a positive mindset towards any of these subjects. There is nothing like not good with maths or physics. It's always whether you are comfortable or you're not comfortable with the subjects. And the more familiarity you will have with the subjects, the more comfort you will gain. You must think, talk and collaborate with your friends. The more that you discuss with your friends about the subjects, the more stronger the neural network will be. Visualizing the situation is very important. You must think of the situation, create a picture in your mind, try to simplify the situation and then approach the complicated numericals. There's just one solution, but there are many ways to solve a problem. Do explore the alternate solutions. And finally, create a very effective, transparent, colorful corner in your study zones. It really does wonders. And remember, after practicing these 5 techniques, your aim should be to get comfortable with the subjects if you are not as of now. The first and the foremost step is very important. It is your right attitude, it is your mindset which will actually solve most of the problems related to these 2 subjects. So I hope that you do get these 5 steps into practice. Wish you a very happy and a joyful learning experience. Thank you so much.